Hello everyone. So I'm back today to show you how to make this quilted effect using the new Sir Wilson Quiltessential dies. So the one I'm using today is the cubes one. And I've also, from the new release, got the new Cosmos flower. This one's great because you get a whole flower, a frame to go around it, and quite a bit of foliage as well. So in one set you get everything you need. You don't have to buy anything extra, it's all there. And also, as a finishing touch, I've got the triple layered hummingbird. Now last weekend I went to do a workshop and I was making an album, and I used this Lakeshore cottage paper from Knitwits. It's got a couple of sheets left over, so I thought I'd make today's card using these. And I've got some gunmetal grey instead of the black, so it's a bit more mellow. And to frame, I'm using both my set A and B pierce squares. So I've got my A2, so from my set A, the second one in. And from set B, I've got B1, 2, 3 and 4. So the first 4 from the set. And also, to make the sticking easier, I've got a sheet of double-sided sticky. So that's what you'll need. So let's get started. So here we are ready to go with our squares. So the pierce squares, as I said, I've used set A and B for this one, but mainly set B. So I've used B1 to make the largest mat. Then I've gone to my set A and cut out a decorative. So now I'm into my B2, which is the second biggest one. And with this, I'm going to cut a frame out of white. So the way I do my frames, I'm going to take the biggest one and I'm going to cut it down. That way it'll just fit through my machine a little bit better. But I'm actually going to start with my B4. So this B3, the middle-sized one, won't be used to cut, it'll just be used to help me measure. So first of all, I'm going to place my B4 down. And I'm going to tape it with a tape inside the square. Now my B3, I'm going to turn upside down just so it lies a bit flatter. And that is going to be my spacer one. Then I'm going to take my B2 and tape it on the outside. So this is where you want to try and line up as best as you can. You will have a little white in between each die. And tape this on the outside. So we tape the inside and the outside just so we can lift this middle one out. And now I'm going to die cut this. And because we used that spacer die, we should get a pretty even frame with piercing on the outside and inside edge. And this will fit nicely inside there. Just to help me later on, I'm going to mark on the back of here with a little X or a T for top and my coloured base underneath. So later on I can come back, I know which way around I'm aligned. So now it's time to get my quintessential cubes, turn it upside down and place it in the centre. Now I've chosen this one, this paper, because it's quite plain. Because once we cut it, we're just going to have the frame from this one. So you don't want it to be overly patterned or anything. So I'm going to take this and cut it. And you have your quilt. So that's going to be our outside. So just going to take all the bits out. And the great thing is all these little fallout bits you can use to make another card. So we've got our layers, top to top. And you could simply keep it like that. But we're going to take a step extra. We're going to fill in each of these bits. And I'm going to use a whiter but more patterned sheet. And when I tape this, I'm going to be careful not to tape over this. Otherwise the bits are going to stay inside the die. So I'm going to try and just catch the edge with my tape. Get all the bits off my well-used plate. And I'm just going to cut this one. Here we are. So I'm going to be really careful now taking this off. Because what I want is for all the pieces to stay roughly where they are. I've got a couple here. So now when I take this off, one there. Now this piece is waste for this card, but it might come in useful for one I'll be doing later on. So now we have all our bits, and I've kept the orientation the same as my original one. So now I'm going to bring in my double-sided sticky sheet. I'm going to turn my page over. Peel off, if I can, one side. Trickiest bit of the whole card. There we are. So my sticky is this side. So I'll place it sticky up there for a second. I'm just going to put the waste underneath. So when I put this down on top, it won't stick to my glass mat. There we are. So turn it over, use my waste piece to press it all down. Okay, let's place that back where it was, and So I'm going to start off with this corner piece. That's all I'm going to do is put it in. And I'm just going to work my way down. And somebody, when I posted the original card, said this must have taken you hours. As you can see, it doesn't. The pieces on this one are quite large, but I think the star one would be even easier. And the circle one is really easy, but I don't have either of those yet. You can tell I'm concentrating because I've stopped talking. But that's all I'm doing is following the pattern down. Now if you've seen my video for paper piercing in the past, in the quick and easy playlist, you'll see on that one I used tumble dryer sheets to keep all the pieces in order. But I felt with this one, the pieces, other than these little ones here, are quite big and they stayed in order. And truth be told, because you've got these bits in between, if you didn't keep them in order, it wouldn't matter. Okay. So as you can see, it's coming together pretty quick. And I've done a lot of the fiddlier, smaller pieces already. Oh, the little tiny one. So what makes this really quick is definitely the sticky sheet underneath. And you're not using very much of it. I think you can get 2 cards out of every A4 sheet. And extras to do some flowers or something like that. And of course you don't need to put the papers in either. If you wanted, you could use glitter or gilding flakes or anything you want to fill in all those gaps. So these large central pieces really make it come together quite quickly. Now I've just used one designer pattern paper here and just kept it all the same. I mean, there's nothing stopping you cutting 2 or 3 and alternating each little bit, but for speed, I like the one colour, especially if the pieces are highly decorative and the outline is just a simple blue pattern. And with these Quiltessential ones, I think the Knitwit papers are really good because they're made to look like fabric. So when you print them out, they have a quilt look to them as well. There's patterns with stitching and things on them. So I think they're a great partnership. Okay, last few pieces. And there we are. Our quilted paper is done. So bring it back in. There we are, and yep, the top is there. And the great thing is, because we've got this double-sided sheet, that's all we need to do is peel it off, take some glue around the edge, just lean over because you just get the one chance for this because of the double-sided sheet. And then let's just take some double-sided foam. It's a bit thick for the frame, so I'm just going to cut it up the middle. So just be careful when you're taping that you can still see or know where the top was, because if you were slightly out with your frame or with that, as soon as you put your frame over and aligned properly, because you use the frame to line that up, they'll be matching. So if I just leave that so I can see the T. Okay. Let's peel it off. And there we have the frame completed. And I've got an 8x8 card blank here. As you can see, it fits perfectly on. So let's just glue it into place. It's already looking really nice, but let's add some extras to it. So I'm just going to make a flower using the largest of the Cosmo flowers. So I've got my outline and my complete piece. So I think we'll use the blue one. We'll use the blue part. Let's just bring in my little 6x6. So to make this, I'm going to need 2 of the base flowers. And then 2 of my outline ones. But whilst I'm cutting, I'm going to cut some of the foliage. I think this Cosmos is going to be one of my go-tos for the foliage, because you can cut out so much in one run. That's a whole lot of metal there. So we've got 1 outer, like that, and we've got a load of foliage. And now it's going to repeat. I'm going to cut out the big one. Let's cut out some more foliage while we're here. I won't use it all, but why not? Okay, so let's just get the flower. And foliage. There we are. So that's all I'm going to do. Bring back my blue ones and my 2 outlines. I'm just going to run the tips and just a little bit around the bottom, around the middle, and stick down. And again, make sure I've got the tips and down. Blob in the center. There you are. So last time, what I did, I folded the leaves down the center, just using my scissors that way. But this time, just to be different, I'm going to curve them up instead. So I'm just holding the center and arching them around. So this one is going to be my bottom one, so I'm not going to do it as much. So I'm just going to blob in the middle, offset them, and hold it there. So I've got some pearls here, so these are my 8mm pearls. Just going to drop it in the center. So whilst that's drying, let's move on and back on the magnet. Let's make our hummingbird. So these are the triple layered hummingbirds. So what I've done already is I've taken the outside and I've cut one from my blue pattern, which was left over from the sheet that I cut this from. I've cut one from my gunmetal grey, and now I'm just going to cut one from my white waste. So those are my 3 layers. Now my top layer, I want to be white. So with the top layer, I'm going to use this die, which cuts most of it away. So I'm just going to centralize it. There we are. Do it straight onto my plate. I can tape it onto the plate. There we are. And then my next layer is going to be from my patterned paper. So I only want a few little bits cut out from that. So I'm going to use the one which got the most metal but the smallest cutting pieces. And then my base is going to be black, or the gunmetal grey in this case. So I'm going to leave that whole. Just need to remember the top one, take the most out of it. What you want in the middle, take a little bit, and the bottom, leave it as is. Just gonna run it through. So there's my top layer. As you see, there's not much of the white left. Here's my central layer. So it's taken away just the smaller bits. And then my gunmetal grey underneath. That's your triple layer. So now it's just a case of gluing them together. And then the white one. So let's bring back our card. And we've got our hummingbird, we've got a flower, and we've got lots of foliage. So I've got this gunmetal grey here and in the hummingbird. So I thought, let's just bring some into the foliage as well. So I'm just going to cut the smaller foliage pieces. And that's just going to bring that dark colour from the background into the foreground as well. So just a hint of it. Okay. So now let's start putting it together. Actually, what I'm going to do before I stick this down is just raise it up so it's the same level as my frame. So I'm going to attach some of my foam pads. And place it down. Now I'm just going to just put some glue on the bottom leaf and on the stem. I've got this nice curved one to go up the other way. I'm going to add some of the smaller ones. Let's have some coming down into this corner as well. And yeah, let's have this one. Okay. And some of the darker ones. Now you don't want these next to ones which are exactly the same, so I'm going to bring them around here. And you see it's just pulled that colour out from the hummingbird and the background. So I'm going to tuck that in there. I've got these two little ones. Put one there. Don't think I'm going to need that one. Here. You see it's just brought out the colour slightly. With the hummingbird, I'm going to hold on to his body and just curve his wings a little bit. So you can either go on flat, but I'm going to go and foam tape his body. Can add some glue as well, just to make sure. Just curve him up a little bit more. So where's he going to go? There. Okay. And there you have it. A Quiltessential card with a nice quilt effect. You can see the pattern here carries on because that's the way I cut it with a one piece, but change it up. The cosmos flower and a triple layered hummingbird. I hope you liked it, and see you again soon, where I might end up using the waist, who knows. See you again.